Pitch Perfect 2 from 2015. So this film's directed by Elizabeth Banks, starring Anna Kendrick, Rebel Wilson, Anna Camp, Haley Steinfeld. IMDb plot summary: after humiliating command performance at the Kennedy Center, the Bard and Bellas enter an international competition that no American group has ever won in order to regain their status and right to perform. So this is a second film in the Pitch Perfect trilogy. So folks that aren't familiar with this franchise, the movie revolves around a all-girl a cappella group, which is singing where you don't use any instruments, so it's only your voices. And this is the second chapter in that saga, if you will, of the Bard and Bellas, who are the team. So, the reason why this is my number one, and really this whole franchise actually means a lot to me on a number of different levels. But this shows how a lot of different things, how friends can come together and share a similar passion to create something similar to Matt and Ben, as we were just talking about. They have this passion for screenwriting. These girls have a passion for singing and creating music, and it's a group dynamic. So every individual singer needs to come together to form the song together as a group. But they also really, in this film, I think, show that friends know what's best for you, even when you don't know it yourself. They don't have judgment. They're there for you during, hard times where maybe you need help, but they know you need help. You're too afraid maybe to ask for it, but they kind of get out for you anyway, and give you that help. And that you're always there for each other. I know we've talked a bit, about gender in this podcast already, but for some reason I've always been, I don't know about more appreciative, but I guess maybe jealous of like female friendships, because they, I think, don't have that same distance that as men we're supposed to kind of have a little bit, like don't really show vulnerability. Women, it's kind of the opposite. So I always gravitated more towards female depictions of friendship in film and TV. I think this movie and this franchise to me is sort of the ultimate encapsulation of that. So again, to get into some specifics that I was mentioning, it has some of the things that I talked about earlier of groups kind of ribbing on each other a little bit, but there is that sense of love. There's a scene where one of the main character, Anna Kendrick, is having problems at her job, and she calls her boyfriend, who's not there, to vent to. And then she's there kind of not happy, and her one of her group mates, the Rebel Wilson character, comes into the room. She can tell there's something wrong. And Annie Kendrick just doesn't want to talk about it, but Rebel Wilson kind of presses on her. Is like, no, like, I know you need to open up. And then she does open up to her, and she gives her that support that she needs. And that is something too, that a friend is able to do that for you. Kind of know when you need to talk, even though you don't need to talk, and isn't judgmental. She isn't, Anna Kendrick's kind of afraid that she might, because she's at this job, which might come in conflict with the group and her existence in this group. But, Rebel Wilson totally understands, like, look, this is something that, and I'm not going to let my own personal feelings get in the way of providing you the support that I need. So I think that moment is really, really touching there too. There's also, a scene where in the middle of the film, they're just having trouble kind of finding their voice, they call it, as a group. And they have to go off to this, camp that is run by one of their former friends, who are former members of the group. She graduated at the end of the last film, and she's able to be there and give them the support that they need too. A little bit of tough love, but also a little bit of showing them that they're all in this together, and that it's them coming together as a group that is their voice, that I think they were missing a little bit earlier in the film. And another thing that I like about this film too, that is kind of rare about movies in friendship, I find, where it's not like this movie is about friends who are really together and then something happens and they're all fighting and kind of break apart and then need to come together in the end. And that's like a lot of narrative arc of movies about friends. This movie is not really that. They're never getting fighting and kind of saying, oh, I'm breaking up, I'm leaving the group, and then they have to kind of remember what's about that. No, they're always together. They're friends for life here. They're in this group, and no matter what happens, they're never going to abandon one another, even if there are hard times, which is something that I think is again kind of rare in friendship movies. And I like that this movie is about friendship but doesn't involve that plot thread. So, I think too why I picked the second film in this franchise, even though this one,
very curious about that.
Yeah, I think this one deals a little more with friendship than the other two. But another reason is a little bit of like a meta commentary too. It's like, you watch the first movie as a fan of the franchise, and you feel like you're part of this group with them. They're kind of like your friends. You get to know them. You feel that familiar bond. So it's like getting back together with your friends. You're coming back. It's the sequel. You know all these people. It's like hanging out with and not to sound kind of weird, like I have no friends and all my friends are in movies, but it's like you're watching these characters that you love and you sort of felt like you were friends with after watching the first film. So you get back together in the second one. It's like reuniting with all your close friends and seeing what they're up to now and rooting for them and having that sense of success when they succeed at the end of the film too. So I think that's something that in the first movie, you know, knowing these people and you're kind of getting to know them, and the movie's about a lot of other different things than just the bonds of friendship. And I think that's why this movie, I picked the second one in the trilogy to kind of speak to. And, you know, also again, like I just love the film overall. I'm a big sucker too for any movie that has any kind of international competition where it's sort of like it's a small world type thing where each country is a little bit of like a stereotype in themselves. I don't know why I always get a kick out of that. So I was excited when I realized like they were going to an international show. And, you know, again, I just also big a cappella music fan. So related to the girls, then I was in a group myself, all male group, not all female. So that was definitely reminding me a lot of like what it's like to be in a group of people where you're all there like creating music together. But yeah, like to me, I think this is the perfect encapsulation of friendship for me at least, like in a movie that I've seen.
Good to hear. Yeah, I was curious why you picked this one as opposed to the first one. Yeah, everything that you said kind of comes across. I had watched this movie when it came out after the first one, loved the first one. I didn't remember much about the second one other than the whole German thing for some reason.
They were very funny, which is a rare thing to have funny Germans, but they're very funny. Yeah.
That's all I remember. But watching it again this time, I'm just sorry to say that I found this movie very dull.
Oh, interesting.
As compared to the first one, and just no, I was quite disappointed, honestly, and sad because in my mind, I watched the first one many times and I love it a lot. And I just felt this movie just felt really slow and boring, and the music was not good. Most of the songs are not as good as the first one. The dynamics and the jokes didn't quite land. There's just so many people in the group now, a new one, or this one, or that one. You don't really get to spend much time with a lot of the people in the group, which is not the case in the first one. Like you get a sense of everybody, versus here it's mostly sort of, you know, Anna Kendrick's Job, a little bit of Rebel Wilson, and then the other one,
Haley Steinfeld,
yeah,
the new role,
the new one. So I don't know. I'm glad that I watched it again, but I was also just very disappointed. Maybe I watched it on a day where I was not in the mood. It's very possible, but that's just how this movie landed on me. But that said, though, the themes that you're talking about, I think they do come through. And I didn't think about that, but you're right. There aren't that many movies where there isn't a breakup happening between friends. And I think that is refreshing that they are together, because we've established that in the first movie.
Exactly.
You know, they are together. They actually do fall out in the first movie and then come back together. So we've done that. So I like that they didn't go back and do that all over again. But other than that, I did not like this movie.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I find the songs better in this one.
Really?
Yeah. I like the covers they do in this one better. And I think the end performance, I like. Well,
did not like it. I like the first one so much better.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. Have you seen the third one?
I have, but I don't have any memory of it.
That one's really disappointing. But also has another kind of like, there's a very great kind of friendship theme in that one too. But I feel like this is a stronger film. So that's why I picked over third one. Well, you know, you like the first one better. That's I don't know if that's like I think that's probably what the general kind of consensus was at the time. But yeah, I just love this whole franchise and these girls, and I could watch this movie like just on a loop, just to be part of that world, to feel like I'm hanging out with them. Like I just want to hang out with them.
Yeah, that I do not disagree with. I think it'll be a great hang, and it's great. Like this movie did well, and you know, as a franchise, it's pretty incredible. Yeah, are they going to make another one?
They're doing a TV show.
Oh gosh. Oh, wow.
With Adam Devine. But I'm hoping at some point they'll go back. I feel like they could be making these forever. Even just like the concept, it doesn't have to be necessarily the same girls, which I also like how they are growing up in each film, and they're definitely progressing in their lives and careers, and different major life events are happening throughout each of the films. It's not like they're just stuck in the same situation, rinse and repeat.
Hey there, it's Alex. If you like the review and discussion Karan and I just had, make sure you subscribe to our channel, Movies That Shaped Us, to get full episodes. Every other Wednesday, Karan and I cover a topic around important people, places, events, and moments in our lives, and then explore it through 3 of our favorite movies. Subscribe right now, or follow our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts via the link in the description below. Hope you join us for the journey.